Good afternoon. I'm Rich Spivak, Board Chair of the Everett Jewish Life Center. I'd like to welcome you to the center, a gift to the Chautauqua community from Edith Everett and her family in loving memory of her husband, Henry. The center is run by a group of Chautauqua volunteers. Among those volunteers was Rich Moschel. Rich was a founding board member, treasurer, development chairman, and along with his wife served as assistant librarian. He also did late night plumbing repairs. He did everything. I first met Rich 16 years ago before the center was opened. And during winter trips to Chautauqua, we'd survey the progress. We looked quite concerned when there were no floors, walls, or ceilings in most of the public rooms, and the assurance was that the center would open on time at the beginning of the season. It did. Our center owes a lot to Rich, and we remember him so very fondly. I hope you'll join us next year in the second annual Rich Moschel Memorial Young Voices recital here at the center. Let us get together in happier times and celebrate the life of Rich Moschel.
Rich Moschel was a dear friend of mine. but I'm sure that there are so many Chautauquans who viewed him in the same manner. What was it? His enthusiastic greeting, his zest for making every day important and exciting, and his deep involvement with his family and his love and care for Lynn? Or was it his great sense of humor and his excitement about everything that was Chautauqua, the intellectual stimulation, the music reverberating from every corner, and of course the people he encountered every day? Or was it just the thrill of taking those long bike rides out in the countryside together? All the wonderful conversation that they afforded and getting to know each other so well. Maybe it was his talent baking challah that intrigued us, his scrumptious creations laced with delicious fruit, and his great desire to share his skill with his grandson, or inviting us to come over early Friday morning to begin the process that eventually led to the final braiding and then into the oven. Rich was very much the embodiment of the Chautauqua spirit, both in his involvement with each of us, but also because of his extraordinary sense of service, recognized when he and Lynn were cited as giants of Chautauqua. In 2001, and for 8 years, the Moshells were full-time Chautauqua residents, and this gave Rich the opportunity to really get involved, and did he? We'll hear more of his firefighting days, his service as treasurer of the Chautauqua Utility District, and of course his extensive work with Edith Everett. But Rich was also very active in the Hebrew congregation, serving as ritual vice president for 3 years, and then as president from 2007 to 2009. Among his many innovations were clergy-led Kabbalat Shabbat services lakeside that attract hundreds, and with the assistance of Rabbi Harry Rosenfeld of Buffalo, Rich was central in creating a new prayer book whose format continues to this day. Throughout his tenure, he emphasized the importance of warmly greeting each participant arriving at our services. And by way of example, Rich and Lynn would invite the 4 Appia coordinators for a Shabbat dinner at their house every summer. His business acumen was clearly on display when he arranged for each congregation board member to be covered with liability insurance. But Rich's forte was his warmth and relationship with people. When Uriel Segal, conductor of the CSO, was in the process of leading his last concerts, he was honored by the congregation at a Shabbat service. Here are Rich's words. For the past 18 years, you have brought to the stage of the Chautauqua Amphitheater music which challenges the mind, delights the soul, and opens the ear to experience classical music at its finest. Your style, exuberance, and leadership have provided the Chautauqua audience with great music and great memories, and the Hebrew congregation would like to thank you for 18 wonderful years of leading the CSO. Further, during Rich's tenure, the Hebrew congregation made an important contribution to Herbert Memorial Church to help defray the expense of installing an elevator in the building. In the same year, Ted Anderson, its minister, was moving on after 19 years, and the Hebrew congregation honored him at a Shabbat service. After joshing with Anderson about the length of his sermons, Rich recalled their friendship on the tennis and basketball courts, and then pointed out that what the two congregations have accomplished is quite remarkable and should be an example to all religions. Indeed. And then we know about Rich and Lynn's long-term involvement with the Chautauqua Opera Company. Every year they participated enthusiastically in the company's Adopted Artist program, became close friends with each of their adoptees, and remained in touch with many of them. Just how painfully poignant it was that Daniel Gross, their very first adoptee many years ago, and now serving as Chazan at Adat Shalom Synagogue in Detroit, was able to come to Chautauqua to officiate at Rich's funeral. So it is just so appropriate for us to take a moment to remember Rich and listen to the opera music that meant so much to him, performed by the members of the 2021 Chautauqua Opera Company.
Quel tiranno tutti uccisi voi foste, e insiem con voi la madre sventurata.
Greetings all. My name is Ken Aldrich, a personal friend of Rich and his family and an association with the fire department. Our relationship with each other extended well beyond the walls of the fire hall as we shared vacation time with each other, shared meals in each other's homes, and broke bread together more than once. In 2006, Rich Moschel became an active member of the Chautauqua Volunteer Fire Department. The Moshell residence on Miller Avenue is a prime location for responding to the fire hall for emergency calls. From day one, Rich would literally run to the hall and be ready to serve in whatever way would be most effective. Drive the ambulance, assist the EMTs, put on gear to fight a fire, a vehicle accident, a fallen tree, a power outage, and yes, far too many alarms because someone burned the toast. Chicken barbecues on Sundays of the summer season are a tradition, and Rich could often be seen in one of the serving lines, doing whatever necessary to be certain that your meal was ready. His demeanor was always positive, as he greeted you with a smile, perhaps a hug, and you knew he was glad to be in your presence. As all who know him will agree, Rich was always quick and ready to give without hesitation or regard for himself. At a time when his own need was greatest, members of the fire department responded with the construction of an access ramp on the Moshell home. Not long into his many years of service, Rich was recognized as Fireman of the Year. He truly earned and deserved this honor and accepted it with humility, pride, and grace. So here's to you, Rich Moschel, from all who loved you dearly and with the utmost respect. Rest well, be at peace. Shalom.
I'm Reverend Michael McGee, and I was a good friend of Rich Moshel's, and I wrote this poem to give to the family, and then they used it for his funeral, and now I'm going to read it to you. I can't believe he's gone. It's so hard to believe my friend Rich has left this earth for parts unknown. I'm still trying to figure out this God business, but if you're up there, you got the wrong guy. Rich was not finished with this life. He had so much more to do, so much more to give, so much more love to share. And he was so planted here, planted deep in the rich soil of Chautauqua and Cincinnati and Buffalo, planted deep in the hearts of his family and friends and all those who knew him, planted so deep in his Jewish faith that held him buoyant above the abyss, warmly embraced by his fellow intrepid Jews, immersed in the tragic and joyous history. How ironic that it was Rich's heart that failed him. His heart beat to the rhythm of life, to the beat of his children's and grandchildren's laughter, to the rising and setting of the sun, and it was in tune with the change of the seasons. Kindness is my religion, said the Dalai Lama, but kindness was not only Rich's religion, it was his life. He was kindness personified from the tip of his head to the soles of his feet. Rich had a way of sensing the pain of others and then gently reaching out and touching it with a smile, a question, some caring words. If you looked hard enough, you could almost see his heart beating, steady and strong until the end. His heart beat strong for those who suffered injustice, prejudice, and fear. His heart was a prophet's heart that did battle with bullies and bigots and pompous, tweeting politicians. It beat strong and fast when he was enjoying his long bike rides and golf and dog walks and workouts. He took such good care of his heart. You could almost hear his heart beating like a drum when he was with his beloved Lynn, his life partner, his amazing wife, the other half of his soul. When you were with them, you could hear their conversations flow together like a song sung in harmony, each supporting the other, each finishing the other's sentences and thoughts. His life was so intertwined with Lynn and with his family and friends, so entwined and tangled with the joys and sorrows of life that his spirit can never truly escape. His heart is part of our hearts. His daring, curious mind that fed on luscious ideas and challenging thoughts, that mind will always be entwined with our own. His passion for the arts, for beauty, for the endless revelations of nature will always be entwined with our spirits. His laughter that echoed around the grounds of Chautauqua will be heard whenever we are there. And his tears mingle with our own, tears for those who were taken too soon from this world, tears for those who have suffered unjustly, for those who grieve. Rich has no more tears, but those who loved him are crying an ocean, for we loved him and he loved us, and he loved life and life loved him, and it is not right that he is gone. It is not right, but he is gone. And we must let him go. We must let go. But not today, and not tomorrow, and not even the next day.
aus Blau